Hi everyone, this is Aaron for Zollotech. We're going to compare the Apple iPhone 5 to the Samsung Galaxy S3. This is a comparison a lot of you have asked me to do, and I thought I'd do a general overview between the two phones and then maybe give you some opinion at the end of the video. So first, let's talk about specs. The iPhone 5 comes with iOS 6, has a 4-inch IPS LCD with 1136 by 640 pixels with a 326 pixel per inch density. On the Galaxy S3, we have Android 4.0, soon to be upgraded to Jelly Bean. It really depends where you live. That's Android 4.1 for those that may not know. We have a 4.8-inch HD Super AMOLED 1280 by 720 display with a 306 pixel per inch density. Both phones are similarly priced depending on your carrier, and you can get them for about $199 up to $400. So on the iPhone 5, we have 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte models. So we have $199, $299, and $399 on a 2-year contract. With the Galaxy S3 of $199 to about $329, and that depends on storage as well. We have 16 and 32 gigabytes, but we do have expandable memory in the S3 up to 64 gigabytes of micro SD flash RAM. So that's a really nice option for those that really need a lot of storage. Both of the phones have been available for a little while, and I've used them extensively and really like both of them. And they both have really nice 8 megapixel cameras. We have a 720p forward-facing camera on the iPhone 5 and a 1.9 megapixel front-facing camera on the S3. Here in the United States, the S3 runs a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor. In other countries or GSM versions, there are quad-core versions as well. The iPhone 5 runs their own proprietary A6 CPU that's about 1 gigahertz or more. We're not really sure, but benchmarks show that it's a pretty fast phone overall. We have a 2100 milliamp hour battery in the iPhone or in the Galaxy S3, and the iPhone 5 has a large battery, but it seems to be about the same as the previous one. The Galaxy S3 also has NFC, where the iPhone 5 does not, and the weight is a little bit noticeable. Technically, the iPhone 5 is about an ounce lighter at 3.95 ounces, where this phone is 4.7 ounces, the S3. You can get this in black and white, the iPhone 5. We have multiple colors for the S3, white, blue, red, black, and some other colors as well that are around. The overall design and build of the phone is pretty nice. We actually have aluminum on the iPhone 5 instead of the steel with the glass back. We have an aluminum with a couple inserts here, glass inserts, glass front, and it feels overall really solid and well crafted. The Galaxy S3 is made of plastic, and it actually feels pretty nice in the hand, but it is plastic and feels a little less well crafted in my opinion. This is more like a solid brick where you have a nice feel, but it doesn't feel quite the same. Now, this is really up to preference. Some people prefer the S3, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it as far as that goes. We have curved edges, and I do like it. I don't think it's poorly constructed, but it's a different feel because we have a plastic back instead of an aluminum back. The back actually is removable on the S3 and allows access to your SIM card slot, which is here, and your micro SD, which is here, and a replaceable battery, which is nice as well. The screens of both phones are really nice. In fact, both of them look basically the same. The iPhone 5 is technically more color correct, where the S3 is an AMOLED display that seems to pop a little bit more. So that might be a preference as well. I prefer the color correct myself with the LCD, but AMOLED screens are equally nice, and I really have no issue between the two, and it's a huge toss-up unless you're extremely picky based on the technology, or you need color correctness for maybe some work you're doing for someone. When it comes to the cameras on the phone, the cameras, while they're both 8 megapixel, the iPhone 5 really takes some really nice video and pictures as well. And I wanted to show you that here in this other video. Let's go ahead and take a look at that now. I'm recording these videos at the same time to show you how they cancel out noise. I haven't changed any settings on either phone from default, and this is exactly how they're recording it. I haven't focused anywhere. I let them autofocus, and you can see they're shaky a little bit, but they're able to kind of compensate that a little bit. So I thought I'd show you that exactly how it is by itself with no changes in setting whatsoever. One of the areas where the iPhone is actually lacking is with NFC. That's near field communication. On most Android phones and upcoming Windows Phone 8 devices, you have a little coil of wire kind of embedded in the back of your phone. And what that allows you to do is either tap it onto another phone like this, where they'll notice that they're doing that and allow you to transfer data, pictures, things like that. Or you can actually set your phone to, say, go into a car mode. So you put a little NFC tag in your car, tap your phone on it, it'll switch to a car mode based on whatever you program it as. You can do other things with it, such as payments as well with Google Wallet, and there's multiple uses that will be coming down the road for that. The iPhone decided to leave it out. I get a lot of responses asking, well, what about NFC in the iPhone? And some people really seem to like using NFC. In my opinion, I haven't used it enough, so I can't really say that it's fantastic at this point, but it is a very interesting feature, and why not include it and kind of push it forward? It would work great with Passbook, which is part of iOS 6. When it comes to overall durability of both devices, they've actually been tested pretty extensively now. Both of them have been dropped together from different heights, thrown at the ground, and while that's not something that we'll do here, those tests suggest that the iPhone 5 is actually more durable than the Galaxy S3 in just about every situation, it seemed to be, which surprised me since the back of this is plastic. It's easily replaceable. You can replace this back no problem. But the iPhone 5 seemed to fare pretty well with this aluminum back. It did shatter at times, the front screen, but most of the time the iPhone 5 held up much better than the Galaxy S3. As far as scratches on the aluminum, my particular device didn't have any scratches on the aluminum. And I know a lot of people that may have had nicks and things like that. Mine just didn't have it, so I was lucky there. I haven't had any issues. I actually have a shield on it now to prevent that, but I haven't had any issues with it scratching, even setting it down. In fact, this little chamfered edge where people were reporting that isn't covered by anything and is held up particularly well. But again, I do know people that have nicked them up a little bit, and unfortunately there's not a whole lot of easy ways to repair that. As to the actual connector change on the iPhone 5, we have the Lightning connector. It's smaller, it's reversible, and it's really expensive. I really like the connector, but there's nothing out there that uses it. Here we have standard micro USB, and apparently, according to a lot of different articles, micro USB can't do everything that the Lightning connector can do. It's a digital connector as opposed to maybe an analog connector, so it's really hard to say where this will go in the future. It's going to be around for a while, I'm sure. But in my past experience, I've actually had the micro USB break, so I don't know if there's a durability issue that Apple has, but it's definitely more convenient, and there's a lot more cheap accessories out there for USB than there is for Lightning adapters. The cables are about $20 and up, depending on what you need at this point, and also in difficult supply. That will change in the future, but right now, it's really kind of a pain. Now, I did mention battery before, but I wanted to show you firsthand. I actually had to plug the phone in for it to go bright because it's down on battery. We're at 5% charge. But the phone has been on for 1 day, 13 hours, 44 minutes. Pretty moderate use, but it has been on that long, the S3 in particular. The iPhone 5 has been on since about 8 a.m. this morning, and it's now 9:39 p.m. We're at 37%. In that day, I've actually connected this to Bluetooth. I've listened to music on it, surfed the web a little bit, checked email, and that's the battery life on the iPhone 5. I tend to get a little bit better battery life out of the Galaxy S3, but anytime you're playing any serious games on either of them, they will start to drain the battery pretty quickly. However, the winner is clearly the S3 as far as that goes. When it comes to the overall operating system, that is really a huge area where people differ. The iPhone 5 runs iOS 6. If you like iOS, it's very simple, it works well, and is not customizable other than the background, unless you jailbreak the device. The S3 is very customizable and has some handy features built in, such as Voice Assist, which they actually call S-Voice as opposed to Siri, so there is maybe a little bit of copying going on there, I'm not sure, but they both actually work pretty well and will do about the same thing. If we double tap the home button on the S3, we'll get S-Voice. What's the weather outside right now? You can see it's scanning. I have the voice down.
Here is the weather for Seneca Knolls, New York.
Now the funny thing is I'm not in Seneca Knolls, so it got the location wrong, but maybe it's, I'm not sure where it's basing that off of. But either way, it says 68 degrees. Let's try it on Siri. What's the weather outside?
Okay, here's the weather through Friday.
So you can see it's the same time, but this one got the location wrong. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but they both work well. They're both assistants. They both give turn-by-turn directions. You can do a lot of things that are similar that way. It's really going to come down to, do you want to customize your device, or do you just want something simple that works? So that's iPhone 5 versus the S3. When it comes to my personal preference of the phones, I'm really going to get a lot of flack no matter which one I pick. I personally use the iPhone 5 day to day, but the S3 is just as good of a phone. In some ways, the iPhone 5 is better. In some ways, the S3 is better. That's really down to personal preference. Some may appreciate the look and kind of fine quality that the Apple product is, where some may appreciate the openness that is Android. So it's going to go back and forth, and we could argue that all day long. What really needs to happen is you need to go to your local stores and try them out for yourself. If you're an iPhone user, you're sick of iPhone, try out Android and see what you think. And vice versa. If you use Android and you really don't like it, try out iPhone, see what you think. Both phones are really quite nice, and I'd definitely love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.